Welcome to XPS HUB, the story behind the coach. Our second episode is in the books, and our guest today was the international basketball coach, Rob Newson. I had a great time talking with Rob, and I hope you have a great time listening. Welcome to the podcast, Rob.
It's amazing to be here, Thomas.
Yeah,
Lovely
thank
to
you.
see you.
We've been trying to set it up for like 3 weeks now. My producer was getting impatient, but I told him, don't worry, Rob's worth the wait.
Oh, come on, don't put the pressure on.
No, definitely. So tell me a little bit first. I want to know, what are you up to right now? I saw you've launched your own business.
Yes, sir. We're in the inception stage of that. It's launching right now. And I guess I can't tell you what it's going to look like 12 months from now or even 6 months from now.
Right.
But Kairos Performance is launching, and it's about coaching. It's about working with young people and coaches and parents. And it's about high performance. And yeah, like I said, it's coming together on the fly, and it's changing every day. And you know, as the situation with COVID kind of swings to and fro, we have to navigate that as well. But I'm in Vietnam right now, and things are okay here. So we'll get things going on the ground here very, very, very soon.
Okay, cool. What did you call it? What was the name of it, the business?
Kairos Performance.
Kairos Performance. And I've also seen you do some videos online with some breath works and stuff like that. Where did you, is that a part of the program, or is that just some side thing you got into?
Well, you know, Kairos Performance is going to be, it's going to be about high performance in all areas of life. But, you know, I come from a basketball background. I've been coaching, you know, all of my professional life, and I guess a part of me is also a part of the game, and that's my community. So Kairos Performance is going to be living and working in the basketball community. But the breath work is something which I've come across as a deliberate practice over the last 2 years. And it's definitely going to be integrated fully into what we do, because it is fundamental work that needs to be done by us all, whether we're athletes or not. You know, we all breathe, and making that more efficient and more effective and connecting with it will help us in any area of life, whether we're trying to be healthier healthier in our daily lives, or whether we're trying to, you know, win an NBA championship.
What will be your target group for the business? Like, will you be targeting young athletes or professional athletes, or?
Yeah. So athletes, young athletes under 19 years old is going to be one major part of what we do. But we also need to work with the coaches of those kids, because I'm not going to coach everybody, and
Right.
And the parents as well. And so you know, the breath work in particular is going to be something which I'd like to do with the parents of the kids that I work with. I really want those people to be a part of all of this.
Is XPS going to be a part of what you do?
Yeah, you know, I'm building an online course for kids, largely out here at the moment. You know, COVID is really tough on places like the Philippines at the moment. They've had their largest amount of cases, like today, I think, since it started. So they're a long way away from being able to get on the court and do normal things. So yeah, XPS is going to be something I'm going to use I'm using to build online courses for, like an online program for basketball players, where we're going to incorporate all of these things, you know, the basketball element, strength and conditioning element, mindfulness and breath work. And, you know, I'd like to also do that with the coaches to bring them in. So yeah, for sure, it will be an integral part.
Awesome. It'll be interesting to see where this goes once you get it gotten it better on his feet? You know, what has it been like? Three months in?
Yeah, we're basically 4 months in since beginning to get after it and try to understand what is it that I'm going to do with it, and how you're going to brand and market it to the people, and then what's going to be the content inside, and trying to understand all those different parts of social media and the internet world that we live in right now, and how to stand out and be unique and those kind of things. So we're very, very early, and things move very fast though. So, in the next couple of months, it's going to be much more solidified in its first stages.
Okay. If people want to check it out once it gets ready, what would be the website for it?
The website is going to be kairos-performance.com. That is like working right now, but it's not finished anywhere near. So
okay, so don't check it out just yet, but
yeah, give me a week.
all right. But I wanted to ask you, for the past 3 years before you started your business, you've been working for the NBA out in Asia, in Hong Kong. Can you tell me what your role was and just how you felt about that time, what that time did for you?
So I was the manager of basketball operations at NBA Asia, and NBA Asia's primary objective for the group of people that I was involved with was about a program called Junior NBA, which is essentially trying to grow the game in Southeast Asian countries where basketball is not that popular yet, or it's quite underdeveloped, and therefore there aren't a lot of fans of the NBA there. So my role in all of that was to be a kind of a person that would organize and manage and create a program to get kids more involved in basketball in schools. So, writing curricula for PE systems and state school systems in countries like Vietnam and Indonesia, and then creating these programs where we'd go and talk to teachers and the coaches and the kids themselves. And that 3 years was as all of the years of my life have been, a major in many ways, and lots of things that I've learned, and I've become the person that I am today through those experiences. And I got to see the business of the game, and the how global it is, and how much people are inspired by the NBA from afar, and that inspiration can move people to do things. So I learned a lot about business. I met a lot of different people in a lot of different countries, and was able to work with them and inspire them through that work. And it was a wonderful 3 years of doing and learning, and I also became a father for the second time during that time as well. So.
Did you do a lot of coaching while you were doing it, or was it more like organization, marketing work?
Yeah, in the first year we did quite a bit of coaching, because we would just fly in and out of countries and then coach camps. It would be camp coaching, get a bunch of people together. NBA would be bankrolling everything, so everything is free for the kids and the coaches attending the event. And we would organize these huge like skill station events where kids would come in and get a scorecard, and they would do some drills, and then in the next day, if you made it, you'd play a bunch of games, and there is prizes to win at the end of these camps. After that, it became much more about the numbers. So how many people can you kind of build a business around that you're saying you're affecting? So if we're trying to affect 10 million people, how do we create like a funnel to say that we've done these events for the teachers, and then the teachers are coaching the kids? And so if we create these events that help the teachers to teach the kids, then we've effectively reached 10 or 15 or 20 million kids. So it became a lot more of organization and management of the people on the ground in the last 2 years.
Right. And this gives you a little bit an idea, like gives listeners a little bit of an idea of what how global you've been in your coaching. You got out of it a little bit. Yeah, how global you've been in coaching. And you've coached in Vietnam, you've coached in Hong Kong, you've coached in Iceland, where I'm located right now, the birthplace of XPS. And you also coached in, your home country, England. Tell me a little, because people often ask coaches who's been all over the place what's the biggest difference, but I want to know what is the biggest commonality. What's the same no matter where you're coaching in the world? What do you think are the things that are always the same when coaching?
Well, the game is the same. And that's the common denominator for all of us that are involved in it. That wherever you go in the world, if you love the game or you love what it gives to you, then you can go anywhere and speak a language that people understand, because that's a great experience from the last 15 years where I've been around. I don't speak Icelandic. I do actually speak Vietnamese. I don't speak Chinese. But all of the other countries that I went to, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Japan, these places, I don't speak those languages, but the language of basketball is, it's universal. And, so wherever you go, that sort of route can help you to establish relationships. It provides a starting point for conversations, and you'll try really hard to talk to another basketball coach, because even if you don't speak the same language, because there'll be something there that they can help you with, and you'll be able to draw stuff on a piece of paper or something like that. So that's one thing. And I think probably one more thing that comes to mind is that there are kids everywhere who that enjoy playing the game, or that want to experience success and be confident. And again, basketball is a way to do that. So coaches all over the world, they're all trying to do that in their own way. There's a ton of conversation in different coaching communities about different kinds of things. And a lot of the time it can become fractured, because some coaches think that this is the right way and some coaches think that that's the right way. But at the end of the day, all of the coaches are trying to do the right thing. And all of the kids and all of the players, they all want to experience success and do well and have fun experiences. So I think those are some of the big commonalities. Doesn't matter where you go, you're going to experience that.
Where was the most challenging country that you've coached? Like, where did you have the most, I want to say maybe difficult or challenging time coaching?
You mean me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be Iceland. In my second year in Selfos, it has to be. There's no other experience that taught me so much about myself, that was so hard at times, and where I questioned things so many times, that there's been no other year like that. And I've been in Vietnam, you could make an argument that it's really hard that you're a basketball coach and you want to do well, especially 6-7 years ago when I was there. I had a number of coaches come in and then leave straight away, just because it's just, if you're from Europe, going to Vietnam is a different planet. And basketball there is totally, it's really underdeveloped, and it's really coming now. But at that time, it was a different story. So there were difficulties there. But personally, my evolution, if you like, my rite of passage came in Selfoss in Iceland.
What was it about that time that made it so challenging? You said you had, did you say that you had a lot of questions that you asked yourself and that you were just, trying to figure out? Can you give me an example of what it was that made it so difficult of a time?
Well, I think, first of all, I was 23 or 24 years old when I went there. I was a young coach who was trying to, I kind of had this vision in my mind of where I was going, right? And that vision was to the top. EuroLeague, Barcelona, coach the best players, be this elite level coach. But that was a I'm a dad now, right? I have two little kids, and I read a lot about parenting, and some of the things which I'm confronting as a parent are the things that come from my parents. I tend to rabbit stuff that comes from my parents, and I don't mean to do it. It's just it's your conditioning, right? That is something which we all have to confront. And as a young coach, that's what I was doing then. I was just parroting the narrative that you're supposed to try and get to the top and be an elite level coach. But what was deep inside of me was a yearning to really connect and have meaningful work and meaningful relationships. And that brought me to Selfos and Brynja and FSU, where those questions about who am I, why do I do this work? How am I going to do it for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Who are the people I'm going to work with? And what am I going to offer the world? All of these things were put in front of my face, partly through
You're talking about, just so people know, you're talking about Brynjar, the founder, one of the founders of Sideline Sports in XPS. You coached with him in Selfoss in Iceland. That was your second pro job or third?
Yeah, second really. Yeah, my second overseas pro job.
Yeah,
I took that job year out after I finished my first year in Reykjavik with Valur. So Brynja brought me there, and I had Brynja is if you know him, then you don't need me to explain what Brynja is. It's an enigma. It's somebody who is mysterious and polarizing, and somebody that you're gonna have to make a decision on every time that you're around him and every moment that you're with him, because he's going to challenge you, and that's his role, And so when I went to Selfoss as a 24-year-old, I don't know if I was ready, but I had to be ready, and he put a lot of stuff in front of me that I had to deal with, and in his own way. And to be honest, I loved it. It was what I wanted and what I needed. So.
Awesome. And at Selfoss, you were coaching a men's team. You were also coaching some youngsters. And looking at your resume, you've both coached, men's teams and some youth teams and some kids. What is your favorite age group to coach?
I think my niche is in the teens. Kids that are sort of coming of age, into young adulthood. I think that I probably work best there. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I can do well with them, but there is a limit to my ability to be around 2 and 4-year-olds. It's a hard job if you want to teach basketball to really little kids, like mini basket and those under 10s. That's you need a remarkable level of patience and to kind of be much slower than I still am. I'm still I like the intensity and to get after it. And if you're 14 or 15 or 16 years old and you're playing basketball, then you probably have sort of an idea of why you're doing that, and you're starting to be competitive, and and you're kind of growing up. And I think that that's the kind of kid that I've always been best around and will work with the most.
What motivates you? Like, why are you doing this? Why coaching?
Coaching is, for me, the way that I learn about myself.
But what drives you? Like, what gives you motivation to keep going? Like, if you, whether you're doing it for yourself or for the others, like, what is it that? Because we all have to work, we all do some hard work, and then you need some reward at the end of the day, and hopefully it's more than just cash and money. Like, what is it that keeps you going? Like, what is it that you get out of it?
Well, I mean, I double down. I'm trying to find out about myself. You know, I'm trying to find out what this is all about. And the way I do that is I go into my own practices and ask myself, you know, difficult questions. And I look at the way that I conduct myself. And then I have the skills and the ability to communicate with others in a way that some people don't have that, you know, and some people are not driven to work with other people and try to lead and teach. But those skills are inside of me, and I'm really passionate about them. And it's difficult to answer that question with a kind of solid answer, because I've always been into coaching, but the reasons for that have changed a lot over the years, although I don't know if they actually have. Like, maybe it's just that I've started to realize a bit more why I coach. And each year and each experience that goes on, you strip away another layer and another layer and another layer, and it's still coaching. I still love to coach, still love to teach, still love to be in that environment of a team. But the reasons they seem to get deeper and deeper each time. And right now where I'm at is, yeah, it's just like everybody needs a coach at some point, and maybe I'm that for some people at some point in their lives.
I was going to ask you, you know, everybody needs a coach, and I was going to ask you about your coaches that you've had, you know, your influences in coaching and maybe just in life. And you mentioned Brynjar, and I just want to start there. What do you think you've learned from him? What are the things that you take away from that time at Selfos that you think, you know, you still use in coaching today?
Well, I've told this story a couple of times on a couple of different interviews that I've done. It's about a kid who came into my office in that season and said that he had been thinking about committing suicide and was reaching out for a bit of help from me, 25-year-old, 24-year-old me. And I went to Brynjar that night and asked him, what am I supposed to do now? And he said, well, this is why you're here. You know, what are you going to do now? You're going to teach him how to make a curl cut and everything's going to be all right? Like, this is not about basketball. This is it. And I think that encapsulates a lot of what Brynjar helped me with, was stripping away some of those layers and helping me to realize that this isn't about the game. The game is beautiful. I love basketball and I enjoy playing it. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy being around it. But it's not about the skills or the rules or any of that. It's about the people. And he really helped me to do that by challenging my viewpoint on all of this stuff. And I think that story is a good way of doing it. I mean, he just got me into looking in a different way. You know, I was looking in a certain direction, and he just basically said, hey, just take your hand away and look over there and see what's over there. And I was like, oh, okay. And then ever since, it's been going like this.
That's a really good story, and I think it's an excellent point to make for any coach that might watch this. You know, just what you said about is about the players and not the game, or the individual, the people that are playing the game. Sorry.
Something that I have a hard time with it, because you know, there's a lot of people that are involved in the game and that care about the game. And there's a lot of conversation, you know, during COVID, a lot of people have been at home. And so the conversation on the internet has exploded, right? So now everybody's on the internet and you can talk to many, many different coaches. And there's a lot of stuff about basketball and about basketball coaching out there. But I don't want to be judgmental, because one of the things that I'm trying to emulate or embody in my coaching is not judging what I see for what it is, you know, not judge a book by its cover. So when I see this conversation on basketball being played out, a lot of it is about the skills, and it is about, you know, man-to-man defense against zone, or what press should I run, or, all of this stuff. And I don't want to say that I don't care about that stuff, because that's the game. That's the one that we've decided that we're going to be involved in. And, when I coach basketball, this is the stuff that we're going to do. But really, it isn't about that at all. And it's a really interesting, but it's a very difficult conversation, because it takes a long time. It takes a long time to get somebody there to kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper and realize that, yeah, actually, this is about the people that you're with, and what are all of those people trying to achieve in their lives individually, and how can we help all of them and help the group. Like, that's the beauty of the game, really.
And that's been tough now during these times of COVID and no personal contact and all that. What have you done just to try to, keep coaching during this time?
Well, I have to coach every day, because my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old are, they are they're my coaches, actually. They coach me probably more than I coach them. And to me, becoming a father, before I was a father, I knew that that's what I was going to do. I knew I was going to have kids since I was an adult, and maybe even before. And, you asked me what motivates me as a coach. And maybe that's it. My motivation is to try to be the best version of myself as a father, because that work is extremely challenging, because it demands presence at all times, which we are not programmed right now in today's world to be. We are programmed kind of to be distracted.
There's a lot more at stake too than just winning the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So my coaching has been actually, I haven't tried to do more coaching. I've actually taken the opportunity to do a bit more investigation into myself, and that's where that breath work and mindfulness practices have come in. And I've had the opportunity to go deeper there and experience a side of myself which I'm getting more and more in touch with, and that has had exponential benefit for my coaching. So taking the focus away from just the work that I do, and actually, focusing more on who am I and my relationships, I think has made me a better coach tenfold.
Awesome. Any other influences that you've had that, have had an impact on your life as a coach and just as a person?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. My dad has to be there. He has influenced me in many ways. And I don't know if he's always been on board with me being a basketball coach, but he's been somebody who, without a lot of words, has shown me what it meant to be a father. And I've taken a lot of positive lessons there, and how to lead. And so that's one. My cousin, Tony Garbolotto, is, quite a well-known coach in England, and also coached in Iceland and in Asia. He brought me to the game, basically. I was introduced to the game when he was at London Towers.
He's your cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. Tell me some of the lessons that, I met him once at KFI, the camp there. Tell me some of the lessons that you've learned from him.
Well, Tony has been like a guiding star for me, to be honest with you. He's been the person that has shown me kind of what's possible. We've kind of followed each other. I started off following him, and then a few years ago, he ended up coming to Vietnam after me. So, he was the person who kind of opened my eyes to and gave me a flavor of the game when I was very young. He was at London Towers, and I became a mascot at the Towers professional game when I was like 15 years old. And I mean, to me, this is a crazy experience, but those are the kind of experiences which set a lifetime of, pursuing a dream. So, that, and then, his trip to Iceland, I know where he met Brynja, that all turned around whereby I was contacting Brynja from England, trying to go to see him. And that's how all of that started. So in that sense, Tony has really shown me the way. He's shown me that things are possible through basketball that maybe not possible, through just any other way.
Right. Yeah, we got to get Tony on the show sometime.
Yeah.
What regarding your coaching philosophy, like, and maybe you can divide that into two parts, because you do a lot of different coaching, because you have some philosophy about the game, offenses, defenses, and all that, and maybe then you have some philosophy of just how to reach the individual, and which is maybe I wouldn't say more relevant, but it's more urgent when you're dealing with youngsters. If you had to make like a sales pitch or explain your philosophy in coaching, how would you go about that? It's a tough question, I know that, but give it your shot.
Performance, man, it's got to be on the website. But so I mean, I'm going to go with this. For me, this is about connection, growth, and discovery. So whatever I do, whoever I'm working with, priority number one is to connect with that person. Then we're going to see we can grow together, and we're going to find out what happens. And I mean, this encompasses it all for me. There are some other things, and basketball wise, depending on the group that I have, I have always liked to play fast, to be aggressive, to press, and be exciting like that. And I'm a pretty intense person, so when I get between the lines, I like things to be upbeat and to really get after it. So but those things always depend on also the group that you're working with and the resources that you have. Whereas the other stuff, the deeper philosophy, that is for me what it's about. I actually did a talk today earlier with some Filipino coaches, and we talked about the fundamentals. And because there's a lot of chat about that, and they're like, what are the fundamentals and how to coach them? And so what we were talking about was, that I don't know if we really need to go into the fundamentals of the game. We might disagree on 1 or 2 points, or where one sits in front of the other. But my question is, what are the fundamentals of success for you? And for me, right now, it's about creativity. It's about self-awareness. What was my third one? It was about strength and deep practice. So quickly, creativity. This is like, there are so many examples of this. I would love when we are involved in the game. I'm talking about me and the people I'm around. I'm focusing on it being about creativity. I don't want to tell people what to do. I don't want them to look to me in the middle of a game and ask me what play to run, or what read to make. Like, this is all the answers are within you. So let's create an environment where that fosters you being able to be calm and present and see what is in front of you, and then make a decision and an action that you're not worried about. And all the magic happens there. And I mean, success and failure are both as wonderful and meaningful as each other. And it's the willingness to take a risk that seems to be holding a lot of us back. So creativity, self-awareness, is another deep topic, but mostly about emotional intelligence and being able to connect to yourself and others around you, and not just operate as your program demands, but be aware of that program and decide whether you're actually okay with it or not.
What is very obvious to me is that it's way easier to coach someone's shot or their dribbling technique, because you can see it and you can touch it and you can record it and you can analyze it and all that stuff. Do you have any ways or methods, or like, what is your approach when trying to help people grow in those, more mental, emotional areas of their lives?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, everything is a meditation. Okay, so you have to define what is meditation. Meditation is a contemplative practice. So when you sit and meditate, you are making an observation of your internal and external world. And that's it. I mean, it's a deep, deep practice, but that's it. You just observe without judgment what is happening. You know, are emotions rising? Do you feel, you know, are you thinking too much about the future or the past? You know, are you following the sounds and being distracted by that, or are you actually present? So everything is a meditation. If you're coaching, you can be meditating in the sense that if you're observing what's going on the court or in your practice and you're actually present, you're not watching things through the eyes of Coach Rob, who thinks he knows everything and that guy's lazy over there and that's why he did that. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, that story I create because of past experiences that I've had with that person and who I think I am and who I think that person is, that colors my presence in the moment and my ability to be here and connect with somebody else, right? About coming back to my connection. So first of all, it's about being present myself and just observing what is happening on the court or in whatever situation we're in. And then if we talk about trying to help somebody else with that, that's it. You are coming to them and asking them, you know, what did they see? Or what do they think about this? And why do you think that? And what do you mean by that? You know, and it's like a little bit of an unraveling of people's like judgments and predeterminations of what is happening and why it's happening.
Asking questions.
And finding out, asking questions and just finding out if the things that people think are happening are actually true or not. Because right. Once that realization comes a little bit, people start going, oh, actually, no, it doesn't have to be that way. And then, you know, also mindfulness and breathwork practices are practices that help you to realize that the thoughts that come into your head, they're not necessarily who you are, and you can actually allow them to come and go. And then you realize you can observe things. This is a scary moment because now you're not who you thought you were, and anything is possible. But this is, you know, this is the work.
Yeah, that's awesome. And maybe you could argue that, or you should argue that those things are a lot more complicated than actually teaching the game of basketball.
Well, we make them complicated. That's you know, that's why we have to we kind of have to unlearn everything. Right. You got to forget all the things that you've been learned, because like school, they're just filling your brain with stuff, and all the time you're just thinking about things and you're not actually present. So, you know, coming back to creativity as like a pillar of success, if we have a scouting report and, you know, on the scouting report is every detail of the game that's going to come up and every action that the other team is going to make and every counter that we have for every action they have. So in the last seconds of the game, all I'm doing is telling my players, you just see that and you do that. There's no creativity in that. You know, creativity comes out of the moment, out of the space. So you know, personally, this might not resonate with some people, but for me, I would like to go and have a look at what is here. You know, can I have an environment where the kids or the players or the people that I'm working with can be present enough to see what's in front of them and then discover something new?
Where does this emphasis and interest, you know, it's sort of a mindfulness sphere, like where does it come from? Like where did you start emphasizing on these things in your coaching?
I mean, the seeds were planted with Brynja at FSU.
Okay.
For sure. And then I do think that the travels that I've done, one thing that they have put in front of me is that I've been to so many new places before and met so many people that didn't know who I was or had any idea who I was, that I didn't have to be the person that was back there. So I could be anybody. And the story that we tell ourselves follows us around because the people that we're usually with, they also know the story. So when I go to a new place or a new country, I could be anybody I want to be, and I can. And that sort of, I think it dislodged me a little bit. It was very hard to deal with as I was growing, but it was kind of a necessary, for me at least, it was a necessary dislodging so that I could, come to these kind of practices. And then I think just, with the birth of my son, it was like, there's a new world to explore, and it kind of everything. I think everything is, you're on your own path, and this is my path, and I'm where I'm at right now.
What is your thoughts on building a great team culture? Like just getting everybody on the same path.
Yeah, I think that it's about the same thing. And,
Sorry, can you repeat that?
This is mostly about investment.
Can you repeat that, because the connection broke a little bit?
Yeah, sorry. It's about a lot of the things that we've been talking about, and mostly for team culture is about investment. How invested are each of the individuals in the group and what we're trying to do. Now, if you've got a lot of money and you're going to invest it in something, then you're getting ready to make a strong commitment, and that is an individual decision that no one is going to tell you what to do and why to do it. Like, that has to be yours. And in a team, that's kind of what we need to do. We need to make it so that each individual person can contribute in their own unique way and feels comfortable to express themselves in their own unique way and be a part of what we're doing. So building a team culture for me is combining all of these things and really connecting with those people so that we can elevate every single one of those people in the group, and thus the group elevates.
So basically focusing on the individual, and they're investing in them, and getting them to invest it. When thinking about the culture, you're not trying to affect the culture as a whole, but you're trying to affect each individual in that group.
Well, I think so. It's because that's like trying to win a game by trying to win a game. Like, you're not going to win a game just because you decide. You're going to win the game because of all of the individual actions that happen during the game. If you make good cuts, if you play good defense, if you stay present and keep calm when the run comes from the other team, and you guys, just understand that the game flows back and forth, all of the things that you can control and the things that you can't control, you're able to allow them to just happen and stay level-headed. These are all the things which contribute to winning. So, and if you do them, you're more likely to win than you are to lose. But if we try to win just because we want to win more, to me, it doesn't make sense. So if I'm trying to build a team culture is not some abstract thing which I get and just put on top of the team. Like, the team creates it, and then you've got a real culture, because culture is essentially ingrained in the people within it.
Yeah, I think that's true. Talk a little bit about the future. What are your goals for the future? When are we going to see you back in Iceland? When are you going to come join us at Athena Sports Club? No, I'm just kidding. What are your goals for the future? What does it look like?
My goals for the future are to be happy and to be a role model in some sense to my children, and have meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Those are my goals, and I'm going to try to do that tomorrow, and then the next day and the next day.
Do you have any idea of where you might do that for the next few years, or is that undecided?
It's pretty undecided at the moment. I need to go to Iceland at some point before I die, for a number of reasons. Athena, you, Brynja, Buppi,
volcanic activity.
And volcanic activity, all that good stuff. So I will do that. Hope, let's see how things plan out in the next few years, but definitely I will do that. England is my home, and it still is, even though I haven't spent a lot of my life there since being an adult, but something about me says that we'll be back there spending a good chunk of our lives soon. For now, I'm in Vietnam, and we're going to do something cool and crazy in Asia and make a big impact here, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Rob, thanks for having you, man. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you, man.
It was good. It was a good discussion.